Hey friends, Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I've been spending some time this week with a 2016 Acura RDX. It's a compact luxury crossover. A lot of vehicles in this field, but one thing I've discovered so far is this thing really doesn't line up directly with a lot of competitors. If you look at the Lexus NX, that's a little bit smaller. The Lexus RX, it's larger. If you look at Audi, Q3 smaller, Q5 larger. The only vehicle that really lines up very closely with this thing is the Lincoln MKC, and even it's just a little bit different in its own way. So in taking it for a test drive and showing you some of its features, we're really going to sort of look at how does it stack up to everything else you can choose. With regard to styling, many have said in the last decade, Acuras have become less distinctive in their look, with little really to set them apart from the crowd. The RDX here was all new in 2013 and one of the first models to bring back sharper lines and more visual drama. And for 2016, it received a number of styling updates that further make it more distinctive. One of them is the new LED jewel-eye headlamps, which I really do like. They're found across the Acura lineup now, from the ILX all the way up to the NSX supercar, now becoming their signature look. Also up front is a new grille design that has a more three-dimensional depth to it, so it doesn't look like a wallpapered-on sticker anymore. At the rear, the view remains largely the same except for the new tail lamps, and looking at the rear fascia, Acura doesn't brandish big exhaust tips to emphasize performance like most brands, instead using trim elements that mimic them. The rear liftgate is power operated either with the key fob or a button on the dash, a standard feature even with the base model. And that brings me to what we've got here, which is the top of the line advanced all-wheel drive. That means it has all the features of the technology package and the Acura Watch Plus package, plus a few other things, and gives it a sticker price of $44,360. Inside, that means power heated and ventilated seats up front with leather trim in lieu of leatherette. The driver has memory settings, and there's a power sunroof, which is nice, but no panoramic roof is available here. As you look around the interior, there's some new updated trims for 2016, including an aluminum finished plastic that looks real enough to forgive it for not being the real thing. Leather's found on the steering wheel, and thickly padded stitched soft trims line the door panels. When I'm sitting behind the wheel here, the thing that really strikes me most is how well put together this is and how well designed it is. From an ergonomic standpoint, I really like what they've done here, and it starts with not only the fact that you have a driver's cockpit here with a lot of controls right here, the switchgear of very high quality. This just has the sense of purpose that I really used to look for just in BMW, and the difference here is that I think the quality might actually be a little bit better when it comes to switchgear and fit and finish. Now, that opinion aside, the other thing I want to talk about is this design here. This actually has two separate screens for the infotainment system. You've got a touch screen here and a display screen up there, which you can use this to control. Now, I've got it on nav right now, mainly to show that you can have a nav screen up and still have a complete screen for your menus, for your controls, for your audio, without having to go back and forth. And in most cars, you've got to do that. So that makes it a lot easier going down the road. Now, you don't always have to have nav up there. You can put it on audio, for instance, and then this shadows out, and then you can use this puck right here to actually go in and select things. Now, you can still go over here and do that. This lights up automatically, and then it'll shadow out again so that you keep your eyes on one. You're not trying to figure out which one that you're looking at. But I really do like that, because if you use nav a lot, you can still get to the basic things that you're always after. And of course, you've got hard controls for HVAC and some of the more used things. A lot of vehicles, they make you go all with that touchscreen all the time. So that's really cool. One last thing is this cubby down here for your phone or your other devices. I like it because it's huge. It's large enough for more than one, but also for a tablet, even a small tablet. All your power outlets, all your auxiliary, your USB ports are all down there, and you can hide it away. It's just very cool. Your rear passengers are going to be plenty comfortable, I think, because first of all, this lower cushion's high enough that your knees aren't perched up too high. Some crossovers, you sit down in them and it just wouldn't be comfortable for a long trip. Now, there's plenty of leg room, as you can see. I'm about 5'8", 5'9", and I've got plenty of headroom here, good elbow room. Now, if you had the third passenger here, it would be a little bit tighter, and you do have the fold-down armrest here with cup holders in it. Another nice amenity, of course, heating and air conditioning vents. That's really sort of expected these days, but also expected really are power ports and maybe even some USB ports, which we don't have back here. Something I think is missing in this class.
What a number of other competitors do offer here is a sliding lower cushion and reclining back adjustment, as well as heated seats. This might not be important if this is a personal vehicle most of the time, but if you have a lot of passengers or kids, they might grouse about the lack of amenities back here. The seats do fold down in a 60-40 split though, and they do it pretty easily with quick release levers at the rear cargo hold or on the seat backs themselves. It's nice that you don't have to remove the headrest to fold them down, but note they don't fold entirely flat for a level cargo floor. Under that floor I found a full-sized and pretty heavy-duty looking spare tire, which always wins points since many vehicles are eliminating them. With that, scoring the interior was pretty easy as there was very little to fault. Fit and finish were exemplary, I thought, and the design was clean and purposeful, yet warm and inviting. Best of all, there's comfort to be had no matter where you sit. It earns a perfect score at 5 of 5 stars. Under the hood of the RDX is a standard 3.5-liter V6, which has 279 horsepower for 2016. It's still of the single overhead cam variety, but offers a lot of modern technology like variable valve timing and cylinder deactivation. This means it can run on 3 or 4 of its 6 cylinders when extra power isn't needed, which contributes to its fuel economy, and it comes with a 6-speed automatic transmission still, instead of a CVT or a 9-speed.
That is a really nice sounding V6, and this 6-speed automatic transmission, man, I am so glad they didn't put the 9-speed in this. This 6-speed just works so nicely. It responds to your inputs. It doesn't have too many gears. It shifts as you'd expect it would. It's predictable. And when you put it with this velvety smooth V6 that just has a very nice power curve to it, this thing's just a joy to drive on your favorite back road. And that's important because this is a luxury vehicle. You're spending extra money to get something that's more pleasurable to drive. And so, not to demean its competitors, almost all of which now have a 4-cylinder turbo, but I'm so glad this still has a V6. Smiling.
I wanted to point out though, aside of all my smiling and having fun, the cylinder deactivation feature is seamless too. I never really felt it taking place at all. This helps it earn an EPA rating of 19 mpg city, 28 mpg highway, and 22 mpg combined. In my week with it, I achieved 23 mpg combined, which is slightly more than expected. Let me point out that that's virtually the same MPG as competitors have who only offer a 4-cylinder turbo that they claim gives better MPG. But with the V6, you get more smoothness and refinement that I think is more expected in a luxury vehicle. I like it. It gets 5 of 5 stars. The chassis of the RDX is much identical to most of its competitors. It has McPherson struts up front, a multi-link rear suspension, and 4-wheel disc brakes. It's all the expected stuff, at least on paper.
Now when it comes to handling, I can tell you that it hasn't taken very long out here on my favorite back road to find out that this has a nice sharp chassis. It's got very precise steering feel. It's got good dampers and springs that really give you a nice feeling of response. When you throw it into a corner, well, maybe a little faster than you'd expect to with a crossover SUV. But the good news is it's tuned stiff enough to have a nice sporting ride character, but not so much that it beats you to death over bumps. It's not harsh at all. It just feels of quality. It's got a nice rubbery sort of isolated feel to it, but it doesn't do it at the cost of feeling sharp. And that's always a good thing with any vehicle, a sports sedan, let alone a crossover SUV. It's just been a while since I've been out here in an SUV and just been able to really have a little bit of fun. I'm riding along on the freeway right now, and one thing that really strikes me is how quiet it is in here. They have a lot of noise canceling technology. They've got a lot of acoustic materials here that really have made this a quiet vehicle, and it's got quiet tires. There's not a lot of road noise, and this is a highway that I drive quite often that has pretty noisy pavement, so even though you can hear a little bit of it, it's still quiet by most vehicle standards. It's very comfortable. And the other thing is it feels pretty solid out here too. It's a little bit breezy out there. I'm not getting any buffeting whatsoever. The suspension feels like I'm rolling along on granite. It's not a rough ride, but it's a solid ride that you'd expect from something that has a little bit of a sharper handling character. This wouldn't be one of my tests if I didn't bring it out here to the Desert Washboard Road, because this is a great way to test how well put together the vehicle is. Does the interior rattle? Does the suspension rattle? Does the steering shake? And I'm not finding any of that here. Just like my experience on the pavement, this thing is solid. It's very sharp and precise out here, and unlike a lot of SUVs that I bring out here, it doesn't seem to be getting unsettled at all. It just rolls down this gravel road as comfortably as it does on the pavement.
You can probably tell I'm pretty impressed with how this thing drives, and indeed I am. To mention BMW again, the RDX is it's very BMW-like in its sharpness and precision and how it feels no matter where it's driven. And some BMWs don't even have that anymore, so it gets 5 of 5 stars in the chassis department.
This being the advanced model, this has the full suite of safety and driver assistance features. And I'm talking about things like lane keeping assist, forward collision alert and warning, and these are the things that enable it to make it to the IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus status. And that's a big deal because they raised the bar for 2016. A vehicle not only has to have a good rating in their full battery and crash test now, but it has to offer advanced levels or superior levels of driver assistance and crash avoidance features, which this does. And I tested them. They work great. A lot of good things to say about them. The best thing I have to say about them is they have an off switch. You can turn them off. And I know that sounds ridiculous to some of you folks out there, but there's a lot of brands out there that offer these features that when you have them, they default to on every time you start the car. And if you don't want them, which some people don't, I'm one of them, sometimes I like to change lanes without a turn signal. I don't want to be scared half to death by a loud alarm that I'm not expecting. So I like a car that gives me the choice to have it on or off, and Acura does that, so I like it.
I'm kind of jumping around here, having touched on the technologies a little bit earlier with the infotainment system. Fact is, the driver assistance and crash avoidance systems are obviously a big part of the topic, and the conversation wouldn't be complete without the rear view camera, which has 3 different viewing angles. One gives you 175 degrees of view that's good for backing out of a parking space, and the lines swing with your steering. It's excellent, but it's still not the 360-degree view like an increasing number of competitors offer now. All of this is combined with an infotainment system that, while it has a moderate learning curve, it works exceptionally. It's just well thought out, and the audio quality is phenomenal, bringing the technology score to 5 of 5 stars. The last and most important measure here is quality. I look at the gaps between the body panels and the interior trims for their fit, especially with the luxury brand. I slam the doors and I listen as well for the rattles. And to be honest, folks, it's been a while since I've come across a vehicle this flawless, earning it 5 of 5 stars for quality feel.
I have to tell you, I am very impressed with the 2016 Acura RDX. So much impressed, I'm going to put it on my I'd buy it list. Now, is that a big deal? I think so. And the reason is, especially here, is because this is the first test drive of 2016, and so it's going to be the first vehicle on the I'd buy it list for 2016. Now that should be a distinction, because the theory is I'd be not so willing to just throw the first vehicle I drive of the year on the list, but I really like this one because of a number of things. So let's start with the specs and we'll go over those. First of all, the price. Now $44,000 is a lot of money. This is fully loaded. You can get them in the mid-30s, but at $44,000, this represents a value to me because it feels like a quality tool in your hands. It doesn't feel like a gussied up something less than it is. This is a high quality vehicle. It's well put together, great fit and finish, and it has a nice sharp character when you drive it. It just feels good when you're going around your neighborhood, on the freeway, on a dirt back road. There wasn't one place I drove this car where I didn't think, wow, this is really nice. And that's a distinction because I've test driven competing SUVs right around the same price that didn't feel like that. They felt kind of, well, not as good as this. It just really feels good from behind the wheel, and that means a lot to me, often more than feature content, because it is missing a few little things. And I'm talking about that panoramic roof, the 360-degree camera, maybe the back seats that adjust, but to me, quality is what you spend money for when you get into a luxury vehicle, and it's got that in spades. Fuel economy, beat the window sticker, so all in, we're at 5 stars for value. When you put that in with everything else we've already talked about, this is a 5-star car. I'm Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I hope you enjoyed the ride. A little personal story. The first time I ever drove an Acura was way back in the, well, it was in the last century, 1988, I believe. Acura Legend Coupe, a brand new one. I was working for a car dealer at the time, and I got to drive this car from Tucson to Phoenix. And so I was 18 years old. I was really excited because this car had all the latest, greatest stuff like ABS. Yeah, anti-lock brakes. That was like, I have to test this out. I've never driven a car with ABS. I want to figure out how it works. Well, lucky for me, it rained that day, and it was during the monsoon season here in the desert, which means it really rained. And sure enough, somebody stops right in front of me. I got to test the ABS, not deliberately. So it worked. I was really impressed. I got back to the dealership and I was bragging, oh, I tested the ABS and I didn't crash. Well, I was 18. What are you going to do? Anyway, if you like the test drive you just saw, click on the link right there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We test drive one, often 2 cars a week. Plus, we have a new video almost every single day. There's always something new. So stay tuned.